Hello everybody, welcome to the Dataline studio. In this video I'd like to talk a bit about Overbridge and scratch the surface of its features and kind of how I use it in my own setup. So I've got the analog keys, the analog 4 and the rhythm plugged into the computer via the Electron Over hub. So let's have a look at the control panel. On the control panel you can decide which tracks that you want to stream multi-track audio, select the bit rates, and see which machines are connected. So I've got the rhythm, the keys and the analog 4 connected. They're all set up the way that I like. It's basically I've selected which tracks that I want to multi-track out. It's all set up in my preference. So let's run Ableton and look at the plugins and get some audio going on. So let's drag and drop the analog rhythm plugin, and here it is. So the green LED has popped up here, meaning the communication has been established with the machine, and the circling LED means that some data is being read, such as your samples, such as your sounds and your kit settings. So some data is being synced between the machine and plugin. It takes a few seconds. In the settings I'd like to turn the sync on, so that the host, which is Ableton, will be the master. So now when I press play, the rhythm is playing, and it will be in sync with the host's clock. So you can hear with a click track. Yeah. So now we want to get the analog 4 going too. So I drag and drop that, go into settings and set the sync on, because I've got some sequences on both of the machines. The plugins are very handy to edit your settings. You know, you could change stuff on the machine or using your mouse pointer to change the settings. So they work both ways. You have your effects controls here, your CV settings, your performance settings, everything is in there. And this is really cool, especially for newcomers. You know, there's a lot of features in these machines and it may be a bit daunting at first, but with the help of Overbridge you can see all the features on a screen and you could click your way through and learn more about it in a faster pace, I think. You also have a sound browser, so you can drag and drop your sounds into the tracks, into your sound pool, browse your library of what sounds that there is. You can store a lot of sounds in these machines, so it becomes very handy to have this sound browser. On the rhythm plugin you also have a sample library manager. My voice is getting a bit noisy now because of the computer fan. I'm recording the video as well as audio and everything else, so it's getting a bit warmed up. But there's not much I can do about that. So here you can, for example, remove your samples from your project, go to the plus drive and say, yeah, I want an 808 kick. So you go into the 808 folder, drag and drop. You want a snare, maybe maybe a clap, for example. There you go. Okay, so you can go back to the folders and select maybe a SID station, SID's sound, and you could preview them before dragging and dropping. Yeah, so it's very easy to use, and I think it's very useful. You can also edit your performance and your scene settings here. This is very nice, I think. And the FX settings, just like on the analog 4, but with a bit different graphical outputs. And you have the sound browser. You can drag and drop to your sound pool, drag and drop to your tracks. Yeah, and you have the banks. It's all is there to be edited if you wish to use the plugin. So let's drag and drop the analog keys. I don't use the analog keys as with the sync, because I use it as mainly as a polyphonic synth in this type of setup. I think it sounds really nice when it's in poly mode, for example. And of course all these settings can be changed and visualized on the screen. Yeah. and of course I could change it here, and it's the same thing, they work bi-directional. Okay, so so we have the analog 4 and the rhythm track. It's in the tracks, and also it's synced, so when I press play I'll hear the sequences. Yeah, and the click track is on, showing you that they're nicely in sync. Let's turn the volume up a bit. Yeah. So to check out the sync feature further, I could drag and drop a clip. And activate this clip. Yeah. So via Overbridge I can get really good synchronization, and it's worth noting that this is Electron's custom technology. It is not MIDI sync, and all the sync information is handled via the plugin. So I don't need to go into the Ableton preferences and set MIDI sync on here, and also I don't need to set any kind of audio inputs or outputs. I can do so if I wish to do so, but the plugin handles the multi-tracking audio. So if you have another sound card that you like to use, as well as the Overbridge machines, multiple Overbridge machines, it's totally possible. Here is a very basic setup, as you see. It's no inputs and the internal audio card of the computer. Though my computer is getting a bit noisy now, the fan, maybe you're hearing it on the microphone, because I'm recording the video. You can see the stop button here of the screen, so it's getting a bit too much. So there's not much I can do about that, but I guess you can still hear me. Now let's have a look at the multi-tracking feature. Let's mute this track and add 4 tracks. Okay, and another one for the effects. So let's start with the effects. So it's analog 4 and then effects in input. I will need to mute this one, the plugin track, so that the audio doesn't get duplicated. Let's put a color for them so it's easier to see. And then analog 4, track number 1. Let's repeat the process, rest of the tracks. Of course, you can set your favorite settings and then save it as a template. You don't need to do this all the time, but I think it's a good idea to show the users how it's been done. One thing we should always remember is when you've got it multi-track set up like this, you need to turn the internal tracks off going out into the main output. You see voices routed to the main bus, so I will need to turn them off. So now only the wet effects are heard at the main bus. So if I press play and mute the rhythm, so we only hear the 4. Yeah. So this track is only the effects you can hear, and the rest is the dry voices. So you get a nice balance of it. So you can record the effects totally wet, separate, and you know, post-process it, reverse the wet effects, and have the other tracks playing normally. This is quite a common and a very cool trick to do. Okay, so that is the analog 4 multi-tracking done. Let's have a look at the rhythm. I've got 5 tracks playing on the rhythm, so that's 5, and 1 for the effects, so that's 6 now. I will follow the same procedure as I did before. So rhythm and then the effects first, monitor in, and then select rhythm for all of them. Yep. And I think I have the bass tom, the low tom, probably snare, and I know I have the hi-hats as well, the cymbal and the hi-hat tracks. Okay, so yeah, they're all set. The monitor is in. This is the effects track, and let's set them as a different color. So, yeah, and yeah, so I'll unmute. Well, I shouldn't do that. And yeah. You can hear that the mix is a bit changed, so I have to alter it here. Maybe turn these up a bit. So it becomes really cool because everything is multi-tracked and I can get a nice mix, and if I wanted to I could add some additional effects, such as, you know, maybe let's see here, maybe a compressor on the kick track, which is this one. Yeah, if I wanted to do so, or maybe an overdrive to which track? This one? Yeah, to bring up those nice harmonics, or maybe add a bit of reverb to this track. Yeah. Yeah. The kick is a bit too loud though. Let's turn it. Yeah, that's better now. Yeah, so that's how I would multi-track the whole thing, the analog 4 and the rhythm connected. Another cool thing that I would like to mention is, let's assign 2 more tracks here and use analog 4 for these, and use external inputs, set monitor in. Now analog 4 and keys have got stereo inputs, left and right. You can treat them as individual audio inputs like I have done right here now. There's 2 of them, but both of them are like getting the sum of left and right. They're stereo pairs. In Ableton you have the utility plugin where you can drag and drop the left for the left input to make it just the left input audible, and right and to the right input to make the just the right. So now they're 2 separate tracks, and I've got the acid 8 going into input left, and the Bastel Instruments micro granny going into the right input. Let's turn it on. I am very fond of this little micro granny by Bastel Instruments. It's a very nice unit. So Ableton is the master and analog 4 is receiving MIDI, but then the MIDI out is can go into external units such as the acid 8, but I'm actually using the CV output to get them in sync. That's just a personal taste, but you can use MIDI outputs while using Overbridge sync. It's possible. So you can sync external gear via Overbridge to your DAW. So now when I press play, yeah, so I can see that the sequence is running. So let's feed that in. Yeah. And it's only on this track, so I can like solo it, and here we go. And maybe add some reverb. The possibilities are there. Let's bring in the wonderful micro granny. And this is all on a separate track, and it's being synced to the DAW. So what I can do, I could arm all these tracks here now, all the audio tracks, and record the audio on the arranger view here. See, all the tracks are there, and while I'm changing the sounds, I'm getting individual tracks of all the recordings. Yeah, so via Overbridge you can really take your production to the next level by multi-tracking it like this when you're using electro-analog machines. Now the next feature that I would like to touch on is the automation. So we have the analog rhythm plugin here. All these parameters can be automated in your DAW. What my favorite feature is actually to be able to automate the performance macros, which is actually not possible on the Electron machine itself, but I can do it via the DAW and via the Overbridge communication. So let's try doing that. So I will add a MIDI clip here, and let's set the length to 2 measures. Okay, and let's set the key to this button on a keyboard button, so it's easier to activate with the push of a button. Let's arm this track so that it's going to be recording what is going to be fed in there. So let's go to the performance mode. So we've got, you can see it's responding to my presses. This is very handy, and all of this can be automated. Yeah. Note that though the graphics maybe are looking a bit sluggish. This is because I'm recording the video, so my computer is struggling a bit. So you get a better performance when you're not recording the video, as you wouldn't anyway. Yeah. So let's press play and try to record an automation. Let's see here. So we need to activate the configure, and yeah, press play on the clip. Okay. So yeah, and that's recorded there basically. So maybe I can go to the edit it and say, okay, I want to change track number. It's the BT track with the bass tone, the fine, no, the tuning. Okay. Yeah, I can hear the changes now. So maybe I can go to track number 5 again and select the sample slot this time. Yeah, you can hear the changes already. This is a great way to experiment, I think. What else I can add? Maybe the reverb send. Yeah. I think the FX has got an LFO assigned to it. Let's turn that off and bring the reverb in. Yeah, I can hear it now. Nice. And of course, all the other parameters can be automated. Let's try taking it further, but my computer is struggling because of video recording, so I don't know what the results are going to be, but let's try it out. Yeah. If I didn't have the video recording on, the graphics are much more smoother and it actually keeps it up. So you can automate all the parameters as you see while you're using the internal sequencer and the parameter logs. So it's the best of those worlds combined together. Wow. So that is Overbridge. It's complementary software to all Electron users, and it's available to download right now from the Electron websites. Thank you very much.